Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 133rd Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host, long-lost co-host, Bryant W. We're really glad that you're back in town here, B-dubs, and I missed you a ton. And today's topic is learning service without expectations, and seeing how you picked this one here for today. How about you start us off with what this means to you and why you're happy to discuss this here?
Thank you so much. Good to see you, my friend. Nice to be back on and talking to you about this stuff. So I'm doing some education right now in this world of helping. It's a helping others job, and I had this really interesting moment this week where I really got to understand how like goal oriented, solution based, and like outcome oriented I've been in this realm of helping, and that doesn't mean that that's not the goal or something to be very passionate about, but I'm starting to lean into this idea that being available and creating the right kind of therapeutic environment and or circumstances, it's called like building a relationship with someone, or being available as a person when you're extending yourself in the service area of life. And I think we both know how powerful and helpful it is to do service. So I'm what I'm trying to say is I'm becoming a lot more less attached to the outcome and more of like the actual relationship building and like being present during the process, hoping that the outcome is what the goal will be, depending on what that is. But just how much more I'm starting to kind of nuzzle into like the process than the outcome.
Okay, I love that. So I was left with the feeling when you gave me this title, because I often get the topic and not dive into it beforehand, because
Yeah.
I don't want to waste any of our magic juice without being on
Yes.
the show. And, so for me, service without expectations is truly, first of all, truly service. And
Yeah. Yeah.
second of all, it's implementing the act of surrendering during the act of the service.
Yeah.
Like you're literally surrendering the results,
Yeah.
but you're still maintaining your act of service, whatever direction that is. And you
Yeah.
know, I'm a realtor, as you know, and
Yeah.
whether people believe I'm in sales or believe I'm in service, I don't really care. I
Sure.
know that I'm in a service-based job.
Yeah.
And, there's times where things are going really difficultly, where I truly have to stop and say to myself, you know, I have to just be of service here. I
Yes.
have to not have an attachment to the outcome on this. And, and that can be really hard, for more than one reason. Number one, you want the person you're working with to succeed in this thing, in that
Exactly.
endeavor. And
Yes.
also it could mean the difference between feeding your family this month and not, you know?
No doubt.
And then inside the program, you know, surrendering whether your sponsee stays straight or not is a massive, uh, it's a massive endeavor
No
that,
question.
yeah. So anyway, I think we're going to go off on a tangent of a ton of questions.
Yeah.
And do you
Can I
want to
add
start the
just one
question?
little thing?
Oh, you could add two little things. I've missed you so much, you might even get three.
Ooh. Oh, I have a funny picture to send you of my mulberry hands after nibbling.
Oh, I know they're dirty, I bet.
Oh, the
I
purple. But
still have little stains on my fingers from this
see?
morning.
So yeah, anyway, when it came to mind, it just sort of popped into my head because you were like, what do you want to talk about? And I think the cool thing is, if we're honest, the stuff there is to talk about is the fact that it's not as easy as it sounds, and like those are the ideals. Those are like the probably most efficient and best ways to approach it. But the simple fact is, we don't. So like that's what I'm hoping we talk about. And in
Hmm.
other words, it is a bummer when people go back or
Hmm.
like don't get or like go missing or it is a bummer. So we have to talk about the facts of that and how I think we can mature in that space. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to start with
Yeah.
questions or do you?
Oh, I can.
Okay.
Didn't Yeah, I thought maybe you said that.
I said I don't know. I'm coming in everybody pretty frazzled from a very chaotic situation, but here I am laying diagonally on my bed in
Yeah, I like
like
the angle, bro.
I know I'm like was it Burt Reynolds when he did the naked mustache picture for Playgirl?
Totally.
Yeah.
So my first question is very black and white. How do you see service now compared to before you got clean?
So it was actually about 5 years before I hit the program that I was really inspired by service. It was
Okay.
something that, so I've now been in my job 9 years as of June 8th.
Nice.
And it was about a year and a bit into my job. And I had been helping this couple for about 6 months, and they had been coming out when they could from Victoria. And there was a moment where the perfect house for them came up. I called them. I said, "You got to get out here now." The market was such that this house wasn't going to last long. It was everything that they wanted. So the husband was working up north in Alberta. The wife flew out from Victoria. We went in, and she was just in tears of joy about how the house was. When the husband showed up on possession day, like they ended up buying it, and he was also they were both crying as they entered the house, like
Okay.
just so happy to have this house. And
Amazing.
I couldn't tell you what I made off that deal. I didn't care what I made off that deal. Like,
Mm.
it was truly like this joy of having really just had their best interest at heart. It didn't matter what time it took. It didn't matter what I was making. It was the fact that I had really truly been of service of their needs. And that was just like a life changing moment for me. It was just like, wow, like I want to be like my tattoo here that I got 2 years before I was in the program says, "I'm grateful for the privilege to help and serve."
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
everybody thinks I got that after went in the program. And I'm like, no, no, that was pre-program. And so right
That's
that
unique.
the the 8 months after that event happened with that couple, I
Yeah.
met Rick Hansen in Richmond at one realtor conference, and like, man, that guy is like a Mother Teresa for accessibility and handicapped people, and the amount of his life he is dedicated to raising awareness and accessibility in buildings themselves. He's raised
Amazing.
over $1 billion for that. Like, and at the end of his talk, he said with tears streaming down his face, if somebody offered me my legs back, but all the help I've done is gone, I wouldn't take it. And he meant it. Like,
Yeah, I
I'm
believe it.
telling you right now that there's very few individuals on this planet that could honestly say that they would keep their service and lose their legs.
No question.
Like,
That he could feel so deeply the value of that. Wow.
like it was, and he was crying, and it was not like false tears. Like, that man is passionate about the help he's done. He knows how it was such a struggle for him when
Yes.
he first lost the use of his legs, and he knows that every ramp means somebody has somewhere else that they feel normal in the world,
And can
you know
access. Yeah.
yeah.
Amazing.
And
That's a
so,
beautiful example.
yeah. And so what was the question again?
Just how you see it differently now than before, but it's neat that you have the overlap.
Hmm. So now, like inside the program. Sorry, that was my before. That was, like I was almost like building up to a program and living inside the program before I arrived here. you know, and
Boom.
uh, so when I got here, I remember looking at the 12 step for the first month
Yeah.
in options and being like, man, I can fucking barely keep myself together. Like, what kind
Okay.
of message am I fucking gonna carry? You know, like I remember being like just so inside myself, I could not see the service right away, right? You know,
Yeah.
I was happy to do things like I was, you know, like give chair a meeting, set up chairs. I've always been the guy who shows up early and helps with that stuff
Right.
because I see that, you know, like I've been the person organizing so many events in my life that I see that it's the unsung heroes who make the things happen, you
This
know?
is true. This is
And
true.
but you know, service, like true service is a very difficult ideal to ever
Yes.
get close to because there's always some part, especially when you've had a really good response, say like I did with that couple in service, is that how can you ever really know you're doing it for the actual act of service or doing it because you love that feeling that service gives you? Like
That's a good
you'll
point.
never be able to differentiate that once you've had that feeling. I can say the very first time, yes, but after that, honestly, like I like service because service feels good. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like and I'm not going to lie about it. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't do it necessarily all the time for that good feeling, but I
Sure.
definitely put enough of it out there that I feel that good on a regular basis,
Very nice.
you know.
Yeah, I can totally understand.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave that there. I'll let you jump on that question.
That was a blazing hot answer.
Blazing. I love you.
I well, I like that you added that story about that gentleman because I think that's that weird thing, like when people say they're grateful to be an alcoholic or an addict, because like whatever you're getting, like whatever you're being fed from having been that hopeless to seeing the value in something that was so horrible, it's similar thing, completely different, but similar to this loss of legs. Like this person can see the value, and I can only imagine at first glance, losing your legs, one of your biggest fears would be like your usefulness or how you could ever have the meaningful life, right? And like he ends up knocking it out of the park to the extent that he would almost like he's grateful to the extent that he wouldn't trade it for his legs. What? I think
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
And I mean, you know, he's married to a beautiful woman, father of two kids.
That's what we're
Like
talking about.
his life is
Yeah.
really a life of abundance, you know, and very much so from his service, like almost I would say actually entirely so through his service, you know?
Amazing. Well, I've heard before that if you want to throw in the higher power, that all the higher power does is give. That's what it does. It creates
Hmm.
all it's doing, and that even the heart is a symbol of coming like energy coming out of you and spreading out. That's like the shape of a heart instead of self-centered, which is coming in,
Hmm.
energy coming in. And you know what I mean? It's this giving, and it's like a I think that's why it feels good because you're creating an energy flow that's not so condensed into oneself, right? And I
Hmm.
think we live in a physical world, and the physical world demands physical resources and senses of security. So and there's such a weird sense of scarcity that a lot of and what came to mind when you shared your answer is like something even like time. Like most people don't want to give up any of their time to help other people, you know, and like some people say that's our greatest resource is time. And I know
Hmm.
for me, the before me, my time was my time, and I wasn't like I'll never help anybody, but I didn't really seek it out. You know, I didn't mind helping friends and things like if someone needed a hand moving and things like this, but I wasn't going to like a church or meeting someone at a coffee shop for like 6 months 2 hours a week to like read a book with them. Like definitely not.
Yeah.
Like no way.
Hmm.
And it's okay because I wasn't I was still looking for myself. And once you realize that there's nothing really to find, it's easier to separate these things like time. I don't mind. I love knowing I have the time oh, I don't have any time. I'm busy. I'm busy. There's no time. But like, I don't know. I think when we actually break it down, we've all found time. So that's the difference
Yeah,
between the old me and the me now, is that like I'm grateful to know I have the time and I don't mind sharing it, especially if there's not some like very clear thing in it for me. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
yeah. So that's the difference. I actually am a very generic and cliche person when it comes to service. Like before, I think I was too self-centered, and I think I'm just a little bit less of that now, which means I'm open to helping other people.
Yeah.
Not just for money.
Mm.
And like we realize that you can do service in both realms. Like there's nothing wrong with money, but I think you and I nuzzle into the nonprofit stuff a lot, and it's really nice to know that we have demystified the idea that we don't have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just realized my very first question is almost identical to yours. So I'm going to go on to my second question here.
Okay.
First of all, I want to give a moment of gratitude for us being here today. And I love the inner workings of your mind. I loved your answer there. I love that you chose this for a topic. Service without expectation purifies our motives. It teaches us
Ooh.
to show up, not to shine, but to serve.
Oh man.
What helps you stay rooted in humility when you're praised or recognized?
Oh my friend. So this is the most that to me has another like very, very, very important and critical thing that I think is different from like how it was and how it is now.
Hmm.
Taking credit for things was like my main goal before. I don't even know why. I have When I say these things, I'm calling myself out on a previous state of oneself. Like I didn't even fully understand it, but like, wow, did I ever want to be credited with things like
Did you
whether it
like
was
parades, like Bryant parades? Like, could you please?
I
Or
would have been
fireworks? Fireworks was your thing.
fireworks, parades, landmarks,
Oh,
street names,
landmarks.
big things,
Children being named after you.
Yeah, 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 yeah. My sister, you have to name your child Bryant. But no, but it was this idea that like, oh, maybe if it all comes down to value, right? Like thinking like, oh, maybe that'll make me more like my life meaningful. It would give my life meaning. I attached credit to meaning and like that your life was significant. And like I didn't really necessarily want to be better than anyone. I just wanted my life to have meaning. And I thought that like that required getting credit for doing something special or different. And like you realize at a young age, like you think you're the best soccer player in Oshawa until you go play in Toronto and you're like, there's literally thousands of kids that are way better at soccer than me. And you're like, I guess I'm not going to be a professional soccer player. And there's all these humbling moments throughout life when you're like, this is not a realistic goal. And like, anyway, so I love that question. And I stem it back to like this whole credit thing, right? So your question was like, what do you do if you are given credit or praise for something, right?
What helps you stay rooted in humility when you're praised or recognized?
I'll be very honest with you. It doesn't happen very often.
Okay.
Like I get nice
Yeah.
things. People say nice things, and it's been reflected back to me that like people that care for me are grateful that I'm in their life and things like this. But like, it's a small thing, right? Those aren't small things, but yeah. Let's be on. I guess what I'm trying to say is like there hasn't been any real heavy praise. Um, but if I to answer that question, to be honest, I think it comes down to that thing, like that thing that my mentor told me at the beginning. He's like, nobody's thinking about you.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to say, get over yourself, and it's not because like
Mhm.
you're not. This came up in my class this week. There's no question that we have so much value, but we're not that important. And so I have to remember that. So if I do have something reflected to me that is in the sense of like well done or great job, I humbly try to take it in and realize like, okay, maybe I'm doing a better job than I thought, or maybe it is more important than I thought it was to have been here that day, or whatever it looks like. I just try to take it in the way I take in other things, which is in like a little more the middle, like don't get too high, don't get too low. Um, if I was given a compliment before I got sober, it literally vanished. And I'd try to find it again. I'd be like, where did that compliment go? Like looking under my pillow. Like I really wanted to look at that again because it's gone because I couldn't feel it. I could not feel anything inside me that I could hold on to for my value, man. It was just this ever fleeting thing. And that's why I think I mentioned, I got to do something meaningful because then maybe it'll stay.
Mm.
So, anyway, it's kind of all tied into that. I just try my best to hope that my life is useful and yeah, definitely not let anything go to my head because I used to do that. How about you, my friend?
Well, service without expectations purifies our motives. It teaches us to show up not to shine, but to serve. What helps me stay rooted in humility when I'm praised or recognized? One of the things I try to do now is I used to be like self deprecating.
Yeah.
If somebody said thank you, I would find five reasons to be like, oh, why it was an excuse how I was good. Like I literally did. And my wife was the one who taught me how to say thank you.
Wow.
Like she's just like, all you gotta say. Like she's like, you don't have to shit talk yourself. Like you
Sure.
can just say thank you. You
Wow.
know? And
Good for her.
but I wanted to refer to a few things that have recently come up in my life. Is first of all, as you know, I was at that IC 2025, the AA conference, and
Yes.
almost every single person who was given any sort of gratitude in any of the circumstances I saw gave the credit to their higher power.
No question.
Almost every single one, like not one of them, they wouldn't even take credit for their sobriety.
Because yeah, that's beautiful. I like that.
And, and it really made me think of my response of saying thank you, though. Like it made me put that in perspective. Like, maybe I'm not giving credit where credit's due, right? And like I don't say thank you when people say oh, nice sobriety, like that. I'm not taking credit for that, but I do think that you know my life right now is quite a gift from my higher powers assistance,
I
and
believe that.
and 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 a lot of my actions are being predicated by me trying to live closer to it, you know
No question.
and
Yes.
it just made me think though, like I really kind of fucked up on the humility. Two
Okay.
days ago,
Yeah.
I was asked to go show a lady this place. Never met this lady, and she wanted to see these two apartments in the building, and we went in, and it turned out that she was at a real turning point in her life. Like she was not an addict, but she was maybe codependent. And she was having a really hard time in her relationship, and she was in a lot of pain. And I immediately kind of just stopped. We sat down, she cried actually for a bit. I held her hand and we just talked, and I really used what I've learned in the program to kind of help her think about these things, and I was directing her maybe to do a set of steps, like even coda steps or something like that. Like she
Sure.
really needed something to help her awareness of what it was that was causing her pain. And
Yeah.
it was a really amazing moment, and it actually, I was almost like, oh, maybe I shouldn't counsel. And then honestly, this thing, like it was literally a sign to me from the universe that I should counsel. Like it really was, like right at my moment of
Oh,
doubt, right at my moment of doubt, I really helped someone out
sorry. Yeah, I wasn't fully following. I thought you meant like counsel her in that minute, but you meant like to
in
pursue
my
counsel.
life. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it was
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
was feeling a moment of doubt, and then it was just like this happened, and I really made a difference in her life. And in fact, I saw her again the next day. She forgot her water bottle at the second place, but I was already halfway home. And so we made plans to go meet and then the next day we even had a broader conversation on it all. And it
Amazing.
really affirmed it. But I couldn't help coming home and telling Michelle to get an attaboy. oh, attaboy, Milan. You know, like it was like I didn't act with humility there. I really didn't. And so I'm not really sure that I have the ability not to get some kind of attaboy right now. And that's
That's
why,
beautifully honest.
but I really, one thing I tried to do
Uh-huh.
is, where these moments tend to happen for me right now is inside my moments of sponsorship.
Yeah.
And like it really does. Like if I'm making an
I believe
impact
it.
on somebody's life very directly and very impactfully, it certainly is inside sponsorship.
Yeah, that's
And
relatable.
and and so, I really, you know, because it's such a confidential relationship, it's one of the only places that I really get to practice that.
Ooh, I like it though. I
Yeah,
think that what a great place to practice.
it is. And it's really just expanding my ability to remain humble
Yeah.
with it.
Well, I like what you said there too when upon reflection, you said I did an attaboy moment there, but it wasn't a long period of time. You noticed it pretty soon after, and it seems like some part of you was aware of it, and there's also a part of you that thinks that you want to maybe be a little more mindful of that. Is that sort of accurate?
Absolutely. And I think it was also too, like, I don't think it was all attaboy.
Yeah, yeah,
Part of it was that I was just really happy to make someone really unhappy
yeah.
get to a state of like contentment and smiling and joy and
No
laughter
question.
from her pain. Like I'm not, it's not a bragging thing, but
No,
it actually made my life happier.
I think you're taking it to that like next level where that's the goal. But I think what I'm hearing is that it was very well motivated, and the actual interaction with that person wasn't for credit. It was very selfless. But I think once you saw the result, you were tempted by the good feeling and wanting to be part of it.
And I was tempted by the parade,
The parade,
you know,
you're
for
the
sure.
best.
That's right. Anyway, though, it was a great experience, and it really made me recalibrate on um, whether I believe in myself as somebody who can help others. It
That's a
really
pretty
was.
nice thing.
It was a real turning point for me this weekend,
Amazing.
for sure. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even have any knowledge yet or whatever. But like honestly,
You do
there's
though.
there's something with this podcast where it's like talking to you and talking to all these people. I mean, I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a
Me
lot from
too.
people.
A lot
I'm,
of people don't have this many conversations in 10 years.
no, not as extended and as directed and as like, a lot of people's conversations
Potentially
are
honest.
monologues.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about this show is I really try to keep it so we're all sharing about the same time. Some people have
Yeah.
more to say some days, and that's
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. But everybody, first of all, gets a chance to answer the question, and everybody gets a chance to bring questions.
I
You
think
know,
it's really cool.
like it was just stumbled upon by me to try this format, but I feel like it is the greatest strength. Oh, hold
I
on,
really
I got a
appreciate it.
podcast with Bryant. That alarm was just going off.
It's okay if you want to go and do a podcast with him. That's fine.
Well, the thing is though, is I love you more than him.
Okay.
Yeah, because future Bryant really may not exist, but present Bryant is something that I can experience right now in my heart.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would understand though.
No, trust me, trust me.
So I can't recall. This
Yeah,
was,
you're asking a question now.
I'm on a question.
Yeah, you are, because we just both answered my question.
I liked it. This is kind of neat. Was realizing how much help you needed and how grateful you were for that help. Is it sorry, yeah, was realizing, is realizing, or was realizing how much help you needed and how grateful you were for it, a part of how willing you are to help others now?
You know, it's really funny. The first thing that pops into my mind is when I first came in, you know, like I really had an open mind,
Yeah.
and but the judge in me was still there.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was like everybody I talked to, I would be like, "Can this person really help me? Do they really know what I need?" You know, like I remember individually judging every support worker, every counselor, and not and like it was just my
Yeah,
own like deviant mind. You know, like the smarter than, the better than, the whatever, like or
yeah.
like you know,
That's amazing though.
and it was just like I remember like literally having like an internal dialogue of, just stop that, just stop that,
Sure.
you know. And it was it was always the most unexpected moments that gave me the biggest gains, you know. Like it wasn't like I was like
Ooh.
it wasn't like, oh boy, Bryant full of wisdom is going to teach me compassion today. It was like somebody, you know, it would be like somebody turning and saying one thing to another person, or sharing their story of this one particular day and struggle. And, you know, and it would quite often come from a person that I had like discounted in my mind.
I
Like
totally agree.
it was almost like the universe just kept trying to show me over and over, don't judge a book by its cover, or don't presume, you know, that
Uh,
I know what this person knows.
It's amazing. Oh, I'm so glad you said that because that happens all the time. And it just, I think it's such an important thing to start to catch on to because you start picking and choosing like what parts of creation are worthy of your attention.
Mhm. Well, you know, a guy said it at a meeting this morning. He said, "When I presume," he's like, I'm thinking I know what reality is."
Yeah.
And he's like, and quite often that's not true.
Hey man, so I had a similar thought early on where I was like, if I was that far off, even though I'm kind of getting back on track or I'm better than I was, chances are down the road, I still probably won't know better. Like, if
Yeah.
I'm this far off, I'll probably be far off in some way down the road. So it was another way of like remembering that, like, even with time and, really persevering with these new principles, like, we definitely don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry if I interrupted.
Yeah, no. Now I think, okay, so what was the question again? I got really
Yeah, it was the
sidetracked there.
idea of, no, no, you're doing great. The need for help, like we become aware of how much help we actually needed and then how grateful we were for it. Has that been part of the motivation to help others?
Well, it's been part of my knowledge for how to help others, for sure. You know, I don't, I'm not feeling that I have something to talk about on this, on the motivation to help others, but the ways that I needed help have shown me ways that others may need help. And it's given me kind of compassion to step outside of myself at moments where that person might need something extraordinary, you
Sure.
know? Like, you know, they always say, pick up the phone. It's a 10,000 pound phone. Pick up the
Yeah.
phone. Well, guess what? You know, like when my sponsor decided to call me, it made me start to call him because we were now having a conversation. Like, you know, just being like, hey, if you don't call, your ship's sinking. You know, like there's a weird thing in this program about that. And
I know.
I honestly think that somebody starting out won't always have the strength to reach out.
Yep.
and that like we can help them learn how to reach out by reaching out.
This is true.
And so there's a ton of things that I'm learning how to be of service through the service that's happened to me.
That's
I'm
really
not
cool.
necessarily like I've always had a pretty full gas tank for service, or at least what I thought was service, right?
Yeah.
And 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 I'm finding for myself now that like it might have been ill-intentioned inside my addiction,
Yeah.
but in my heart, I still really did want to be doing some service,
Yeah. I bet you did.
but now I can actually do it with my heart. I can actually stop now and be like, whoa, I need to not do that. And I need to do this because that's what this person needs.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm going to leave that one there because I don't really know what else to say on it. And I love you.
Yeah. Love you too, brother. Yeah. No, I think that's great. I just know that for me, the combination of the emphasis of how much I needed help, like I couldn't have done this on my own. No way.
Yeah.
Like not even close. And then also the gratitude for that help like was profound, man. Like when I'm in the right space and I share about this person that helped me in that first year,
Mm-hmm.
very very rare that I don't get emotional about it because I'm so grateful and I see how like incredibly important that was. Like when they say, oh, get a sponsor, it's like two things that came through as clear as day. Didn't do the steps, no sobriety. Didn't get a sponsor, no sobriety. Those things to me are as clear as the breath in my lungs.
Yeah.
I just know that, and I don't know how God works in everyone's life. I would not limit anyone's ability to heal and or overcome addiction or challenges in their lives with the right ingredients. But for me, from where I was from how I thought and what I believed about myself and the world around me, those things were like imperative parts. And both of those things required other people helping me. And so that's why I just like, if someone says, hey, like, I heard what you said and are you willing to like help me? I'm like, yes. And I don't think I would have said that if I wasn't as clear on how
Mm-hmm.
important that was for me. Like they say, a lot of people take the solution and then they go, they get the solution and then they carry on because they got their life back and now they just want to live their life. And I heard this one speaker share and they said if I didn't go back and extend my hand, then there would be no one there the way that somebody helped me, and if I wasn't helped I'd be probably dead. So if you take the solution and don't put your hand out to help the next person, um that ends with you. That could be like 3 generations ending with you,
Yeah.
and like the whole point is to give it back.
You know, I had one of my porch meetings last night, and there were 7 people here, and one of the ladies, well,
Oh, you have it,
what?
you host it.
Yeah, on my porch,
Oh Lord, that's awesome.
pretty much where we did the podcast on that little couch
Oh,
area,
cozy.
and so my friend who started the nooner that I go to, she had
Yeah,
2 friends from the Lower Mainland, and both of them work inside. One of them does all this prison and treatment work and that, and the other one is an
amazing.
intake for this one housing and that. And anyway, though, the lady was like, working in recovery is not working on my recovery, you know, and
Ooh, yeah, yeah,
and she's just like, I like, so the entire time she's been on vacation, she's been doing like 2 meetings a day all over the place and just
yeah.
like recharging her meetings battery, but also seeing, that there has to be kind of a service level there, right?
So true. Even when I mentioned to my mentor that I had gotten that job at the the recovery center, he was like, "Don't think just because you're like doing all that substitutes your own stuff." And like it's true, right?
I just want to say one more thing before we go on to another question. You know, I just always felt motivated to help someone as early as I could.
That's great.
Like
A
it,
lot of people are scared to
it
do
what
it.
yeah, you know what? I don't know what it is, but I feel like it was probably actually just my sponsor started sponsoring people 2.5 months into it.
That's wild.
That one, that one sentence in the book that says the greatest immunity, to drinking is the help of helping another addict or helping another alcoholic.
Yep.
He's like greatest immunity. He's like, I want to stay straight,
Yep. I see the
and the
value.
only requirement is to have a spiritual awakening. He's like, I'm awakened.
Yep.
Okay,
Well,
I've got.
essentially, you have to be able to guide someone through those steps, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
that's up for debate if you're prepared for that. I I remember after doing them with my guy, he was like, "Now you got to go help someone." And I was like, "No way!" Like I didn't think I was anywhere near ready to do that at all,
yeah,
and I was scared. I was nervous. What? So I'm just gonna like do what you just did with me? I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I'll be honest, and I'm really grateful I did.
yeah. I think there's no way to learn how to swim other than jumping in a pool sometimes.
Oh, come on now.
Okay, so we learned that our usefulness isn't measured by applause, but by our willingness to quietly help where it's needed. Can you recall a moment when anonymous service brought you deeper joy than public recognition?
Yeah. Um, yeah, there's been a few times where um yeah, like spending that time with someone and taking them on that journey. I mean, they may send you a little tiny little thank you. In other words, like you're not being publicly recognized.
Mhm.
Um, but I've had two or three moments in this whole time where someone's been deeply grateful for the time spent with them. And once or twice, I've had the family of those people reflect their gratitude for seeing the person they love find their way. And they credit some of that to the fact that they had spent time working on it with myself. But we know that the only reason that it even exists is because someone else helped us. So would I would be not telling you the truth if I didn't say that that brought a lot of happiness to my heart. But it was definitely not publicly um what's that? Yeah, it was not something that
Public
a group
recognition.
yeah, recognized. Thank you. Um but yeah, those are the few times where I really got to see in the most humble and subtle way the truth about what we're doing, and it was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Is that sort of what you were meaning?
I think exactly. We learned that our usefulness isn't measured by applause, but by our willingness to quietly help where it's needed. You know, what can I recall a moment when anonymous service brought me deeper joy than public recognition? And you know, sometimes it's really like the conversation that occurs at the break at a meeting or the conversation that occurs right before the meeting starts. Like
Yeah,
I would say for sure that probably, sponsorship is the number one inside this thing. But when I think about a moment, there's some times where somebody's shaking it hard or just you can tell they're not feeling good about themselves. And honestly, like just sharing some of what's working with me, what I'm doing,
yeah,
making them laugh, like
yeah.
and just like, like I don't even get to know the result, but I know that in that moment I've created this little spark of hope in their eyes.
No question.
That like hoping that they're going to be happier, going to be more content, going to be just like they're going to be okay.
Gonna be okay, or
Like right for that moment they're
at least
okay.
hope. Yeah, hope.
Yeah, but like I'm telling you, man, like sometimes when you're starting out, and especially off some certain drugs, hope is a really hard thing to muster, man.
Man, I definitely understand. Yeah,
Yeah, and so
I
yeah,
like that a lot. Yeah,
mhm.
they're moments in time that it's a transaction between you and someone else that is only you two know, and you could feel its value. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a young man that I tried to help for a little while, and he's doing really, really great now. And he shared with me um, that there was literally exactly like you just described. Like one day he was sitting beside the right person, and he was ready. He was ready finally, and this person said, I don't remember what the words were, but this person said something to him, and he said it was a life changing moment, and he's been totally doing such a great job since, and it was exactly what you just described. Like I had sat down with him, we had read the book, he'd been to like dozens and dozens and dozens of meetings, he had been through hell, and all of that obviously was part of the equation. But in that moment, it was that one thing between him and this guy. He was the right person at the right time, and it just like something clicked for him.
Yeah.
I think that's so amazing.
Man, it's like for me, like that one sentence from that guy Tom back in March
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
was like a pivotal point in my entire life. It'll never ever be the exact same.
Think about that.
Yeah, I know, and I
And they weren't
remember,
even doing service. They
and
were
the
just
first time I told him, he barely remembered saying it.
there. It is. I
Yeah,
think that's so cool.
yeah,
Well, it's the same thing as like something that offended you when you were like 6 years old.
yeah.
Like your uncle was like, you should wear a girl's bathing suit because you're a girl, and for like 30 years you've been like, and he
I
was
just
just,
have I have just the two sets, one when I'm seeing him and one when I'm not. You
but
know,
you know what I mean?
I'm a
Like,
people pleaser.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm disappointed you didn't put that on for this.
Well, you didn't say it was tutus and tatas.
That's the other Bryant.
Okay, that's yeah. He has more communication.
Yeah.
Okay, do you got a question for me?
Was that my question or yours?
That was my question, so it's your turn to ask. Or I don't
Okay.
even. Yeah, no, it was my question.
Have you seen?
Oh no, that was your question, wasn't it?
No, I think it was you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So what do you what
We're
do you
hilarious, by the way.
what do you do when you get emotionally involved in the outcome of someone else's success when you're trying to help? Like what do you do now when you can see yourself, you know, getting emotionally affected by your attempt to help someone, like if it's not going the way you think it should, or
You
clearly
know, quite often now, what I'll do is I'll talk to one of my close friends. You maybe Gabriel, young
me.
Gabriel, maybe Andrew,
Mhm.
and I'll just kind of get calibrated and maybe even call just for a reminder that it's really none of my business.
Ooh.
Like
So that's the staple to your answer, is like making the outcome
communication.
not your business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I would get really, really sad. I would get
Yeah, yeah.
really, really sad. I
I'm
got,
grateful you're sharing that, because that was the essence of this topic.
yeah, I would get really, really sad. Like, man, I remember, like, I wasn't even sponsoring, but like, my first friend that relapsed from treatment, I was
Yeah.
crying for almost 3 days. I bet you
Yeah,
he
yeah, it's
wasn't even crying.
devastating.
I was
Yeah,
devastated.
yeah.
And now, it's not like, oh, whatevs. I still get upset, right? But I don't carry it for as long anymore. Like I
Ooh, what would you equate that to? Like, what is that? What has changed?
well, I think I'm actually starting to have some semblance of like maybe what I would call transitional surrender.
Nice.
Like I don't have an absolute ability to surrender,
Yeah.
but I do have ability to start feeling emotions and knowing when I have to surrender.
Nice.
Like it's a whole different thing on a lot of things for the duration and the stagnancy of emotions is much less now.
Okay.
Like if I got into anger, it would be stagnant there for the whole day. If I was sad, it was stagnant there for days because
Yeah,
I was either using that to go use, or I was using it to create a pity party like you've never seen. It was
yeah.
like, whoa, like community, bring your own pity. I got some too. Like we'd have a pity party potluck. Pity party potluck.
Well, it's weird. Yeah. I can't put my finger on it, but I was similar in the set. Like I would get so deep and emotional and like this is like the biggest deal, and like it was one of like a trillion biggest deals and like none of them ended up being the biggest deal.
And
It's
it
like
really
kind of,
wasn't our deals. Like they weren't even ours.
yeah, usually not. I
Hmm.
feel like it was tied to something about like making our lives meaningful or significant. I think it's back to the credit thing. It's like, oh, like my best friend's aunt is sick. Like, and it's like, so I'm gonna make that about me. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
not. And it's not gonna help. I don't know. It's a tough one because there should be no limit to how much you care or how much you feel for others, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So can you tell
Absolutely.
me a little bit more about that? Like, so we covered so you would get really sad. So what's changed? You said it's a transitional surrender.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like now when I like the first wave of emotion will hit with the news,
Yeah, yeah.
which I don't think that's unhealthy. If I had no
No.
feelings about friends almost dying, that would be weird,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
But I
What if it's your
realize,
friend's
but
aunt?
but what?
I said, what if it's your friend's aunt? I'm kidding. This is inappropriate.
Yeah, no. If it was my friend's aunt, it depends if I knew
Yeah,
her or not.
for
But
sure. I'm just joking.
I'm not happy any friend's aunt dies, by the way, period. I want to put
No,
that out
that's insane. I know. I'm just joking.
there. I thought you were like trying to get rid of all the ants in the world.
No, no, no. I love ants. Ants are the. I love them.
Okay, good.
Okay, I didn't
I
mean to
love them a
interrupt.
lot. Anyway, I just really think inside myself that I don't do anybody any good sitting in that feeling.
Yes.
Like and I'm getting to the point now where I'm in such a large group of recovering people that
Nice.
news like that is regular. Like news
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's a level of desensitization, but like I mean, if wisdom is like kind of intelligence on wheels, you
Well
know,
said.
if wisdom is like intelligence on wheels, it's just like I am learning how to react differently.
Nice.
Like and it's not pain free, but it's not pain
Well,
stagnation. That's the difference for me.
you just said that so nicely. It's not pain free, and there is a desensitization, but it becomes more and more common that there's an expression of these challenges that we're having and other people we care about are having, and I think the best thing you said is that it takes away from our usefulness if we just get bogged down by every single one of those, right?
Yeah.
Nice. For me, um, so that's exactly how it happened. First, if it was with people I didn't know well, and then I started trying it out with family. Um, I used to get so emotionally involved in family stuff, like if my siblings are this or whatever. And it was just so unnecessary and not helpful. And it was not a realistic goal. And like, I think I realized it took me a while. And I think it literally took to like becoming in like the middle of my life, where like in your early days, you want everyone to succeed and everything like this. And then in the like 20s, you're thinking like, oh, this is a catastrophe. And then in your 30s, you're like, this should have changed by now. And then you get into your 40s and you're like, oh yeah, these things just don't change sometimes. And you become aware that like these aren't just like like this is part of life, and this is the way it's going to be sometimes. So if you're waiting and waiting and you're like still drawing on your emotions to see other people do what you think they should do or what you think would be good for them, that could be agonizing and maybe never end, right? So I think like there's a time and a place to insert oneself into external circumstances. And then I also definitely, like you, when I first started trying to help other people, I was like really upset when it didn't work out. Same thing. I mean, it wasn't like disabling or anything, but I was like, what the heck? Like, or even like this silly thing about why they didn't even let me know. Like, they didn't even call to let me know. Like, the most
The
basic thing.
second they stop calling is when I know.
Yeah. And, but like, and I think in my delusion, like, well, they could at least call to tell me, you know? And
Hey,
it's like, that,
Bryant, I'm relapsing.
yeah, that's not how it
That's
works.
going to ruin their buzz. You know that.
It's like the opposite of what happens. So,
Yeah.
but there, it was an innocent thing, but I had to learn and I had to realize that like
It's also a self-centered thing. Like, you know what I
it
mean?
is.
Like to think you're due, like your due communication at the most quintessential point of failure in their life. They're supposed to think about me.
You described that well. Well, I look at it as like, oh, I took all this time out of my life. Like, but at the same time, like we realize like exactly what the topic is. It's like, is there an outcome or an expectation? Like, are you giving freely or are you disappointed when they don't call to say thank you? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like that's the work. And that's why I think this is such a cool topic, because we're both admitting that there's a growth happening in there. And like right off the bat, some of that old behavior, whether it's taking credit or thinking that that should have been done differently or that the outcome wasn't what you were hoping for, that's part of this giving up, this surrendering. There's no question that we need to remain like if you gave up after that, it's like, why would I bother helping other people? Nobody ever says thank you. Like if after 3 bad experiences you never offered a hand again, that wouldn't be good either, right?
You know, though, like I've kind of come to a point where I can't work for your recovery harder than you, and I also can't cry for your recovery harder than you do.
No,
Like I
yeah, no,
can't like
exactly.
both of those things. You know,
I
like
agree.
I just thought, okay, I'm working really hard and my recovery's going really good. You know, like if somebody's working with me, they're going to work real hard and they're going to have this great recovery. And that's just not the case.
No,
Like
absolutely.
like if they don't want to put in the effort, their life's probably not going to change.
No question. And like that is absolutely true. The other self-centered part, and it's again, I say innocent in the sense that like it's not some like I don't know, like conscious thing all the time, but I just think if we attach like a failure on our behalf, if it doesn't work out, it's like, oh, I must have like not done that well, or like I thought if I was helping this person, like they would succeed. It's that's also a tricky thing, you know. Like if you attach some sort of failure or not having done enough to your own efforts, like you said, like if you're doing more than they are, or if you're attaching failure to your own efforts because it didn't work out or that person went, MIA, that's also something that like has to be sorted out pretty quickly, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because I thought to myself, like maybe I'm not doing this right. Like when you're brand new, it's like starting a job. Like you don't have enough experience to fully trust your faculties in that area. So at the beginning, when you start trying to do this thing and you're like maybe doing step work with someone, it makes sense that you might attach like whether did I do this right? You know what I mean? Like did maybe I didn't do this right because it's not working.
Well, and the fact is that we're literally taking on a job with a 5% success rate.
That's not funny, but it's true.
No, like so I mean, you've got to be open to the fact that even if you're an average sponsor, even if you're
Sure.
an average sponsor, right?
Yeah.
19 of your sponsees will fail and one will succeed.
Yeah.
And that's like I um
It
When I like okay, I'll tell you this though. I'll tell you this. Like the very first time I had a sponsee make it all the way through 12 steps,
yeah.
I wanted a parade. Not for other people, but
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me and him to have
Yeah,
made
yeah.
it,
Hey,
you know?
look, it's totally, it's like, you remember, I think it was you that said like you can't be completely expectation free. Like that's
Yeah,
like why we work towards things. It's very similar. That's why I say innocent. It's totally reasonable to be stoked that that happened, you know?
I know. Otherwise, what is life about if you don't have happiness at moments, you know?
He completed the steps.
Okay, so I got a question for you. At first, we serve to feel good. Now we serve to stay spiritually awake. How has service become a spiritual discipline in your life rather than a personal obligation?
There's two parts, and I'm just gonna be really honest.
I
One
like
is
lots of honest.
one is because of fear, which means that that's not a great motivator, even though it is a great motivator. In
Mhm.
other words, I sometimes still think like if I don't do this, maybe I'll end up, you know, feeling a certain way, or like I still, this is terrible, 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 but I still attach a little bit of what's that called when you black cats and walking under a ladders? What's that called?
Superstition.
The odd time I attach, it's not superstition, but sort of like that to recovery. Like if I don't do this, this, and that, then maybe this something bad will happen. And apparently it happens anyway. But
That is completely superstition.
yeah.
Even if you're saying it's not.
Yeah. So it's that sort of what I had a great thought in my head. So and the first part, what was the
How has service become a spiritual discipline in your life rather than a personal
okay.
obligation?
Okay. And so and the discipline too, because I see so much value in it is, I'm just gonna say it. These are both not like great things, but it's doing things you don't want to do, and sometimes stretching yourself. Like, and that could be, I'm so busy, I'm so tired, I have such a busy week. I don't know if I can do this 2 nights a week on top of everything else. And it's like, yeah, you can. And when you do, you feel great about it. And so part of it is stretching myself, but also just like really believing in that, saying yes. They like if anyone anywhere ever asks for help, that the answer is yes, you know.
Absolutely.
And then fear, like fear of not doing the right thing. I hate to
Mhm.
admit it, but that's part of it too. My spirituality is still sometimes connected to outgrowing fear, big
Yeah.
time, big time.
Oh, I would be surprised if I met someone completely vanquished of fear.
That'd be wild.
It would be I would really enjoy conversations with that person to see what they say.
Well, I think that's part of like when people talk about, I hate to call them the elderly or the old timers, they call them, but
Mm,
a lot of the time people refer to wanting what they have because they have peace. And
mm,
I think that is literally the byproduct of like having less and less and less fear. And that's a byproduct of living more and more and more and facing life. And then
mm.
realizing like you don't have to sit with this horrible knot in your chest waiting for something to happen. It's like we deal with it appropriately when it happens. And in the meantime, we try our very best to appreciate it, the fact that maybe it's not happening. Something like that.
Nicely put. At first, we served to feel good. Now we serve to stay spiritually awake. How has service become a spiritual discipline in my life rather than a personal obligation? Well, like I see my entire life right now in the program as, first of all, like the result of commitment, discipline, and perseverance. Like those three things together. And, I don't take my program lightly. I do
Mhm.
my program all the time, every week,
Yeah, you are for
I,
sure dedicated.
I love it. Like I love it. And it is definitely though, it is exactly that phrase, a spiritual discipline.
It is.
And
Discipline's a really big part of this whole thing for
yeah,
sure.
and so I don't, it's not like lip service when I say to someone, you know, um, I'm going to be your sponsor.
That's right.
It's literally my commitment inside myself to try and share this thing that I am finding the most valuable thing inside me, you
No
know?
doubt.
And so when I see someone in pain, even like that lady who was by no means an addict or alcoholic, it didn't matter though. I could see, like, our conversation rolled out to the fact. She said, she said, I eat right, I exercise, I take care of myself physically. She's like, but I'm spiritually bankrupt.
No question.
And I was like, I'm glad you said that. I'm like,
Definitely.
because it
That's
was her identifying it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like a pretty amazing thing. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing for someone to share with you, but also a pretty amazing insight that she's aware of that.
It took us a while of talking. Like that wasn't the first
Yeah, yeah,
sentence.
yeah.
Like this was
Good to meet
after.
you. I'm spiritually bankrupt.
Yeah, she's like, "Hey, am I looking good? How's my spirit?" I'm like, "Bankrupt." No.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
running
was-
low.
yeah, you can't wear short shorts with a spirit like that. No. Anyway, okay, I was. Okay, I can handle a question from you.
Hold on a sec. Oh, here it is. I lost my screen for a sec. Okay. Um, this is my last question, actually.
Okay.
Um, so how good are you at still asking for help now that you have these disciplines and that you're finding your way? Like, how would you rate your willingness to still ask for help, and or what does that look like for you?
So I would say that I'm at an all-time high of being able to ask for help
Nice.
because I'm getting a lot better at being okay being wrong. Like
Ooh.
I used to be really embarrassed by, but I have still, I would like to tell on myself. I called my sponsor to talk about something the other week and I chickened out. Chickened out.
What?
I did.
That's
And after,
amazing.
and afterwards I thought about it and I was like, boy, that's really funny that I still was shy to follow through with that.
And was it a fear of being wrong, or you were just shy?
It was a fear of looking, um,
Ooh.
like it was a fear of whatever that of inadequacy, really.
Ooh. Inadequacy.
Yeah.
And why did you want this person's approval?
It's just that I feel like now a lot of my conversations with my sponsor are about us discussing different aspects and techniques with sponsees, almost more
Okay, okay.
so than it being about me. And then when it was about me in this one circumstance, I felt like it was like kind of might knock me down the ladder in his opinion. And it was me, of course, like
Oh, that's
obviously
beautiful.
trying to play the puppet in the fucking puppeteer in the world because I was already figuring out what he would think about me by me saying that. Like,
Oh no. And then what would that mean?
I know, like, and so it was
What is the
absolutely.
end result? Do you just combust into like a mucky puddle of inadequacy?
We just
Like,
talked
what's the
about something
worst
that's
case scenario?
the worst case scenario is that he's like, man, you're real dumb and I don't respect you anymore.
Oh, I can understand that. I would not want someone to think that about me.
But it's not our business. And like, and so anyway,
You've
yeah.
been so you've shared some like amazing things today.
Thank you. And so have you.
Thanks.
I I was starving for a session together, brother. I was
Ooh.
it was about like Thursday and I'm like I just felt like this can't go on us not having a session. I'm like
I
you
felt
bec-
it too, and I'm grateful that you made the time and that I was able to, because I honestly was putting a little pressure on myself, and I ended up getting through my work that I needed to,
yeah,
and I had this space, and when you said you could, I was like, okay.
yeah, like it's just this is a regular part of me now. is
Yeah,
that like part of me is getting to interact with part of you. Like it's just life now. And I enjoy it a lot.
me too. Should I answer that?
You should answer that. Like and answer it real, like honestly.
Um, I'll be honest, all right. This last year, I reached out for help in a way that was magnificently out of what I ever would have thought I needed at this stage of my life or this stage of being sober, because I didn't need a couple bits of help. I needed like constant help for a long period of time. And it came in the form of many, many people. My friend, I was put into a situation that you're aware of that threw me into the abyss, and I needed help, my friend. And I will, the same way I was, I'm still coming out of it. I'm still coming out of the thaw. Like I'm de-thawing from such a like very scary and like tragic thing that happened in my life. And I, similar to your share, was scared to need that kind of assistance, thinking at this point in my development, I should be able to do this better. I should be able to do this on my own. I don't like admitting that I'm this fragile. I don't want to have these many people aware of my circumstances. But in order to get through it, my friend, I had to take that pride and like settle it down, because I not only did I need the help, I still am asking for help. I'm getting it as we speak. Um, it's okay. Like this thing about looking bad or not being like this exceptional version of ourselves. What's the point in having these wonderful dynamics in relationships if we can't be there for each other when the inevitable happens, which are that there's going to be things that happen that affect us in a deep way. And sometimes we're not really like necessarily asking someone for like money or like a solution to our problems. We're just saying, hey, I'm going through this. Are you available? Because I really could use some help right now and some support. Yeah,
And often it's more the connection than
of
anything
course.
else.
Yeah.
It's like you hit those
Yes.
crises, and they might create the greatest sense of loneliness in the universe.
Thank you for saying that. I was just
I,
going to say,
and it's just that simple knowing there's somebody on the other end that can literally reinflate your heart.
I just wrote that down, even though I don't know if I'm going to use it for anything other than like the greatest sense of loneliness in the universe.
Yeah,
That's how I felt.
yeah.
And I was ashamed of that because I was supposed to have this great relationship with my higher power and all these people.
Mm,
I was ashamed that I could not combat this circumstance with not feeling lonely.
yeah. You know,
Seriously.
when I had that abusive fiance and it ended, shame and embarrassment was one of the greatest feelings that occurred.
Yeah. Shame and
Yeah.
embarrassment.
And it kept me from talking to some of the people who really could have helped me, man.
Holy moly, this is wild. It's very relatable, my friend.
Mm,
The
yeah,
feeling of loneliness, the inadequacy, the shame, the embarrassment, like these are words that I was even sharing with people, and they're like, "You should not be embarrassed." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's how I feel."
yeah.
And I can't
You
really.
make an announcement like you're going to get married, and in your case, it was all the way, right? But you know, like you have now said, like I am committed to this, and this is going to be like
Yeah.
this, and then when it all falls apart, it's like, well, I guess I really couldn't hold a marriage together, and I couldn't, you know, like it really for me was like it was like my most broadcast relationship in my life, and now I've got a broadcast failure.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely comes with a feeling of inadequacy and failure. And it's also incredibly sad and confusing. There's so many
Mm,
things, but
yeah,
that's me being honest after your share about what it was like to still ask for help with that idea that like I shouldn't need this much help, you know?
yeah, I do know.
So anyway, it's just so interesting. It doesn't really matter. Um, so yeah, I guess because I had navigated other challenges in a way where I was really blessed with how I could really see the difference between how I used to feel about things in myself under certain circumstances and challenges. And then as I got into the sobriety stuff, I was like, wow, I'm handling life better. Like I'm not feeling as lonely. Like that feeling of isolation and loneliness that I felt before, it never really was my companion again on the same level. And then some huge thing will happen and you're like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Like it's
Yeah.
still there. What? Like and you're aware that the circumstances um like it's reasonable that you would feel that way based on the circumstances, but there's still this part of your ego that's like, I shouldn't feel this way. Like I thought I had overcome this, you know?
But, that's part of what I was saying earlier. You're going to feel those emotions, but I don't think the emotions have the same stagnancy as
Yeah,
before the program.
I think you're right.
You know,
And you
like,
recover faster.
well, like, look at a conversation we had, I think it was maybe a month ago or 6 weeks ago, where you're like, I'm actually feeling reasonable most of the time. And it's just
Yeah,
waves of the bad feelings, waves of the hard times that come through me. And, 2 months before that, you couldn't have said that.
that's
You know,
true.
like, so I really think that it's our ability to keep those energies moving inside of us now.
Yes.
Like we have way less stagnancy. And before, like,
Ooh.
I feel like, inside my addiction and that of like a sedentariness settled in where,
Yeah, yeah.
like
Like it was
I would flex certain muscles and I would like, I could feel myself almost aging by my lack of energy
ooh.
movement. And now, like I go through like, man, I just had a really stressful moment right before we started this.
Yeah.
And, I've got a couple of amends to make right after this. But, I'm step 10 star 6, so that's what I do. But it's not just going to sit there all day.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. You ready for a question of mine?
Yes.
So I have 5 questions left.
5.
5. So I'd like to do this one at regular speed, and then we could do the last, or sorry, I've got 6 questions left. Then we could do the last 5 lightning round. What do you think?
That sounds good because I am literally boiling to death.
Okay, but I don't mind you sweating. You have this nice glisten, and the
Yeah,
audience
you
will
can
love
see
it.
that. Well, I turned the lamp towards me to
I know. I
like it.
love when the lamp's towards you. Yeah, like look at that. That's great. But you know what you need is
Look, it's an
LED bulbs.
eclipse.
You need LED bulbs. You need
Look,
LED.
it's a waxing gibbous.
What do you have? Like a metal halide there, like a grow
New
light?
moon,
Yeah,
full moon.
yeah. A
Okay,
waxing
one
B,
regular and then 5 lightning. Let's do it.
waxing BW. Expectations corrupt service. They turn giving into bargaining. Real freedom rises when we let go of the ledger. Where in your service have you had to release expectations to rediscover peace?
I would say pretty much the whole time. I'm not gonna lie. One of the benefits of what I perceived as a failed sort of like situation with someone, um, again, I have to be careful how I say this. So it's not about me, but it helped me. The guy basically came back like 6 months later, and he was like, "You were right. Like I just totally almost like destroyed my life. Like I wish I had listened, and sorry that I tried to like do it my own way and all that." And the only reason I share that because it made me trust myself more because I was pretty sure that I was doing it the way that I was shown, and so it just was nice that upon reflection the person sort of said, it wasn't you, it was me, and that helped me trust my ability to do that better. But essentially I now know when I engage with this, like you said, like the 5% thing, like the level of what we're really dealing with and how many forces are working against it, like social, financial, mental, emotional, physical. Like there's so many forces in like our life that are working against an individual when they're trying to break free of this, that it cannot be about me. So I have to trust that if I show up and I do my best, that's the best that I can do, and the rest of it's like all these other things that could easily like provoke someone to going in any direction other than the one that you're hoping they do. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That was very eloquently put. Your your mastery of your thought expression never ceases to amaze me.
Oh,
So expectations corrupt service. They turn giving into bargaining. Real freedom rises when we let go of the ledger. Where in my service have I had to release expectations to rediscover peace? You know, the biggest area for me that this instantly makes me think of is my relationships and my service inside my family. Like,
ooh, my
you know,
goodness, yeah.
like I, man, I had such issues with family members when I did my first step four because basically I would act generously. I would be of service, but it was like when I wanted service back, I felt like that ledger, like I just opened the book and I'd be like, look at all the red pen. That's what you owe me right now because I want it because I gave so much of my life and my time.
Yeah,
It was really sick. It was really
I
sick.
totally understand. Yeah.
And man, it's just like I just don't want to do that anymore. Like I really am trying not to have a ledger at all. You know,
I'm
like
telling you, my friend. Oh, that would just be so much more helpful.
well, it's just so exhausting. And I've reduced the ledger. Let's say that it's like now written in pencil, and sometimes I can't tell who owes who what because it gets a little smudgy. But you know, it
Ooh,
is working towards more freedom, and it's definitely I'm definitely living in more peace. You know,
yeah, I'm
even
glad
if
to
I
hear that.
wasn't 5 minutes before this podcast, I was at the meeting. Oh man, I went to a wonderful meeting this morning. It was just man, there's really good message in that OK Falls meeting on Sunday morning.
Nice.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up the clock and we're going to do some, we'll call this not the lightning round today. It'll be officially known as the sweat set. And so, and so what I'm going to do in order to make Bryant pass out everybody is I'll set the timer for 20 minutes and he'll have to
Oh,
share
perfect.
on 20 minutes on each question.
Oh, perfect. That's what I was hoping. Yeah, there's no point in me eating or drinking water and
No,
just
no, don't drink water. And in fact,
no.
if you have another lamp to put on you as well, we'd like to see a little
More
more
lamps,
glisten.
more lamps.
We're missing the glisten.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, there's just no flow here, but we're good. And if I put the fan on, you won't be able to hear me because it's like a plane propeller.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it. So when we serve without seeking a return, we experience the heart of the 12 step 12. Whoop, sorry. Can't help it. The heart of step 12, carrying the message, not our agenda. How do you keep your focus on carrying the message rather than controlling the outcome?
Yeah, I think that's a really nice question because to be honest, for me it always comes down to the fact that I believe in it. I if it didn't work, um, not only if it didn't work, but if I didn't understand it, like I can actually say it, I can actually describe the difference and what I learned. I wouldn't be as passionate about it. I mean, I might say, hey, like apparently this is something that works for people, but I'm like passionate about it. So I think the simple fact that I believe in it is what keeps me, I don't know, willing to try to share it.
I love that. Okay. So, how do I keep focus on carrying the message rather than controlling the outcome? So, for myself, anybody who's watched this show a bit is I kind of run into these epiphany moments. And, you know, for me, when I'm working with people, I'm really trying to share things that I find are working in my life. You know, like I think that there is points where sometimes the literature isn't addressing specific instances or specific things that come up. And so for me, when I feel that like I've either climbed a mountain or jumped a hurdle or
Mhm.
entered into the fourth dimension, you know, like when something has been transformative in any increment, and especially the small ones, I will share them right away with the people I'm working with because
Yeah.
I really think that most people are happy learning how to take a baby step than no step at all.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the gust of wind
Yeah,
when you were met with the gust.
the gust, dude, I've been getting gusty lately. Yeah,
That's
it's
what I
been real
like to
good.
hear.
Long term sobriety asks us to serve not for approval, but from alignment with who we've become. How does your current service reflect the person you're still becoming in recovery?
Well, I think the fact that I'm still open to and working with others is a pretty good sign because like there's a lot of things. I heard something pretty cool the other day. I might botch this, but like the difference between someone who does something well and someone who does it like professionally is that like someone who does something well like practices until they can do it well, and a professional does it until they can like only do it well or something like that. Like in other words, you get to the point where you can do it, and the other leveling up is like you do it to the point where you can't not do it, and
Yeah,
so I wanted it's like they call it like unconscious competence. It's an ability to do something without it like comes naturally to you.
you
And
make it
so
muscle memory.
yeah, so that's the goal. It's like just to have it part of it's integrated in so that it's not such a thing. It's like, oh, I'm helping somebody. It's like it should just be part of your life.
Mm-hmm. And the phrase that comes to me is, you don't run a program, you live a program.
Nice.
Okay, so yeah, hold on. How does my current service reflect the person I'm still becoming in recovery? Well, I mean, you know, I am basically wrapped up in recovery all over my life.
Yeah.
Like both of my home groups, I'm, you know, fully active in, whether it's opening the meeting, whether it's helping the chair, where they're setting it up. So I'm active in that service, and then I have as many sponsees as I can physically handle right now. And so
Nice.
for me, like I'm trying to be a man of service. I'm trying to live what I'm talking about. And
Nice.
so I would say, my actions are a reflection of my intentions.
Beautiful. That's perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all we can ask for.
Service is sacred when it's done in silence, offered in love, and carried out in trust. What service role has stretched your ego and strengthened your spirit the most?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, being available to people while they're still harming you. you know? Obviously, we don't put up with that for an extended period of time, but sometimes we're in situations where you're trying to help. Like even at the job where I met you, often people are like very rude to you, and or just like really they're not really doing well, or they're feeling really really down, and they can project that onto you. And I think that staying in the position of the service rather than being offended is the key to succeeding during those times where it's less of a thank you and more of a like, you know, disrespectful kind of experience.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Um, so, what service role has stretched my ego and strengthened my spirit the most? You know, I, the first thing I felt like I wanted to say was actually my job.
Cool.
Like, there's just times where I'm getting treated horribly by people,
Yeah.
and I have to put that aside in order to be fully of service for them, regardless. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
not letting their actions dictate my personality.
It's amazing. And if you can,
And it's really hard, and I have a pretty good success rate at that. Probably greater than in my personal life,
that's great.
which is cause for some introspection in itself.
No question.
Really?
Yeah, like that's great. That's great.
Okay. Letting go of results teaches us that we are the instrument, not the conductor. In what ways have you learned to trust your higher power more through service?
Well, okay, so that's a great awareness is that like it's working at all times in everyone's life, whether they're conscious of it or not. So, like, understanding that like these rules apply to everyone. There's no one that's going to outsmart alcoholism or addiction. There's not. So, it's like it is what it is. We have yet a little bit of knowledge on how we can escape this like horrible fact of life, and we can do our best to implement it in our own life and help others. But I think just trusting that like all things are functioning the way that they're meant to, and that it's really hard, but we're talking about addiction, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't find the solution, or they do temporarily, and that is a sad thing that can make people question kind of like the integrity of creation itself. But for me, I believe in it wholeheartedly, and I think that as long as I just do my part, then I trust that the rest of it's functioning the way it's supposed to.
Nice. And so for me, in what ways have I learned to trust my higher power more through service? I'm really asking for guidance, but I just was introduced to this thing that I'm trying to embark on called
Oh
two-way
yeah, yeah,
prayer.
yeah, yeah.
And so I'm right in the midst right now of actually listening to the book on it.
Oh,
And there's also a guy that I'm going to have on here on the podcast. I just contacted him yesterday. And so for anybody out there curious about two-way prayer, just wait to an upcoming episode with Tony from Texas. It's going to be really mind-blowing. He was great at conveying his understanding of it and how it has
yeah. We'll look
changed
forward
his
to that.
life. Yeah, and so he's just on a cruise right now, but he'll be once he gets home. He said he's raring to go.
You should
So
call him
that's
TT Two Way.
I call him Tony Tucker two-way.
There it
Two-way
is.
Tony Tucker. That's right, because that's the way we roll. And I forgot to put the timer on, so I'll call that a minute. Bing. Okay, freedom rises when we give from the overflow, not from the need to be filled. How do you balance service and self care to ensure your giving comes from spiritual abundance?
My goodness. Well, wouldn't that be the ideal? And I often don't feel like I'm overflowing. I sometimes do feel depleted. It can be the reason I say yes or no to things well before the moment where I'd actually be in the moment where I'm, you know, yeah. And so I don't know. I think like I always find the strength when it comes to like obligation when I say yes that I'll be there for someone else. Uh I hold myself to that. I really don't like not showing up when I say I will, but I think that's the whole trick is caring for oneself so we can be useful for others and utilizing whatever other resources we need to make that work.
I love that. So, for myself, this was the final question too. How do I balance service and self care to ensure my giving comes from spiritual abundance? You know, First of all, I want to say, we had that lady Wendy here on that podcast in 32 years, and then she relapsed because she overcommitted to service and wasn't doing self care. And that was that was a wake up call for me because at
Yeah.
the time when I met her, I had five sponsees, and I was getting run ragged from it, and so now I am not taking on new people. I would become someone's temporary one right now, just
Yeah.
if that was a life or death situation for them. I would sacrifice my self care for a week or two, but not for permanent. But for me, it is about making sure that I get my rest, that I get my exercise, that I'm eating right, that I have time for my music, that I have time for this podcast, that I have time for my family, that I have time to work. Like those things right there are boom, like non-negotiables. And so, my days are full and my days are long, and that's just the way it is. But you know what? When my days are empty, that's when the cage starts going to being crazy anyway. So For me,
Yeah,
I need a certain level of activity in order just to maintain my emotional sobriety.
I can agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need too much downtime. Too much downtime is like, it's funny. What is that? Idle hands are the devil's playthings or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I truly believe that's true for me.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just that if I'm active and if I'm doing the things that are actually, on my path, that
Yeah.
then I'm not doing nasty screw around things.
I feel you.
Okay, so any final comments for the show today?
I'm blown away at how cool this was. I was hoping it would kind of. There was a few things that I thought may come into it because when you first just pick a topic, you're like, oh, hopefully we can come up with some things to talk about.
Yeah.
And not only did we, but there was a handful of little things that I've noticed about this type of thing throughout the process that I was hoping we would bring up, and they were brought up, and I just really enjoyed speaking to you about all this.
It was epic. I totally had a wonderful time. Thanks for
Yeah.
taking the time. And, anybody out there who's missing Bryant, he's in the midst of a counseling course. So he's kind of going to be a drop in co host. But you know
Yes.
what? We're going to cherish every moment we can get of him.
Yeah.
Tune
Thank
in
you so
next
much.
episode for more recovery fun. Bye bye, everybody. We love you. Please help us help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.